Miss Creatiff, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
Good. Greatly appreciate you for taking this time out with me.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Shout out to Dee Dee for setting this up. I appreciate
Yeah, yeah. She had reached out to me and was like, "Hey, little cuz, glad to see you doing your thing." And she told me about you, and I was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah, I really appreciate that. She's like, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. I'm like, girl, I need my friends to start showing that love. Okay, who do you know? Set us up.
Yeah, yeah. Trust and believe me. And you follow a couple people that I'm like, so do you know them? Because if so, I would, want to shoot my shots and hope for the best.
I do. I do. I saw who you was reaching out to, and I'm like, all right. I see what I could do. I see what I can do.
All right, but I mean, nothing in this life is promised and guaranteed. But I mean, hey, you shoot your shots and you hope for the best.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
So, for those of you that don't know, this is Tiffany Campbell, the CEO of Creatiff Productions. So, congratulations on the new Toxic short film that just been
Yes.
released.
Thank you. Thank you. It's out there. Go watch it. Toxic. Look it up on YouTube.
Last time I checked, you guys are at 12,000 views.
Yeah, we're almost at 13. We're like a few away from 13. So it's going up. I'm like, Lord, thank you.
I know that's right.
I am very grateful.
I know that's right. So, take me back through it. Like, what made you decide to create a short film?
Okay, so I since I've been a kid, like I've always wanted to make movies. Like that has been my thing. But as I got older, you go through different things in life. I wasn't confident in that anymore. So I went into writing books. Like I was like, all right, I'll just stay in the background. I'll write books. And it wasn't until then a few years ago I started taking acting classes. And once I started taking acting classes, I'm like, yo, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I don't even know why I resorted to stick it in the background. Like, I'm supposed to be doing all this acting, producing, writing, directing, whatever I can do. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what God has created me to do. So it wasn't until last summer I had someone reach out to me and ask me if I wanted to help them with the script. And I was like, yo, like someone's actually asking me to do this. They didn't even know that I wanted to make movies or anything. And so that gave me the confidence to actually go out, write my own script and produce like my own thing. And God literally just gave me the script for Toxic when I was just sitting at work one day. Because I wanted to write a book about it. And I was like, I don't feel like writing a book. So I'm gonna leave that alone. And a few days later, I was sitting at work and the whole script just downloaded in my spirit, and I just went and just wrote it while I was on the clock.
While
So
you was
yeah,
on the clock.
yep. While I was on the clock,
You said, the heck with this job. I'm doing my purpose.
I'm following my dreams. Okay, that's what it was
I
like.
love it. I love it. So, you like take me back through like as you were writing it. Could you see yourself in any of the characters that you were writing about?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, writing it, because at the time, even when I was writing it, I was like, oh, this will be a good project for my reel, you know. So I was just thinking more like personal, like, okay, I could write this and I'll star in it so I'm not getting casted and stuff. So I just make my own project. And then like as the Lord was giving it to me, I just really saw it much bigger than that. I'm like, oh, this is beyond me. But I definitely saw me as the lead character. I pulled, you know, inspiration from situations that I've been in that were toxic, situations that my friends have been in that were toxic. Like I just pulled a lot from that experience, and was able to just fully, you know, create a whole new story, a whole new concept that I thought a lot of people would be able to relate to and see themselves in, just like I could see myself in it, you know?
You had just mentioned toxic in terms of you were dealing with like relationships, but
Mm-hmm.
it kind of helped you to like create this.
Yeah.
As you were writing this and portraying it, was it hard to relive those moments?
Mm, I would say that the hardest part, because you saw the movie,
Yes.
the hardest part for me to do was the bedroom scene. The bedroom scene when you know Zara is pretty much like expressing her heart and everything that she's done for him. That was probably my hardest. You know, that was my hardest scene to shoot for me and the actor. Like it was hard for both of us because it was the scene that probably felt the most real and the most like relatable to me, just being a woman and having those feelings, like actually feeling not good enough for somebody, or feeling, you know, very ignored, or very, you know, just not appreciated. So I absolutely related to that the most. I wouldn't say that I looked at the movie and thought of like, oh, this is a snapshot of my life. I never looked at the movie and felt that way. But for that particular scene, like those emotions, that came from a very real place, like a very real place. So that's probably what I related to the most.
Throughout the entire film, you were mentioning it wasn't always like this. You were talking about, man, I wasn't always straight away. I had a relationship with God. What were some of the things that you dealt with that ultimately brought you back to your relationship with Christ?
um well, for one, you know, removing myself from the relationship that I was in, that definitely, I don't know, I think it's just like a coming to Jesus moment you have once you get out of something like that's toxic, or something that seems harmful, even if it's not a relationship, just anything. You got to have a toxic work environment or whatever. You just kind of have that, man, this can't be life. Like, this can't be it. And it took a while for me to actually like run back to God. Even after I got out of that, like I wowed out for a little bit, because I'm like, yo, I'm free. I'm about to just do me. Like, I don't want to listen to no rules. I don't want to obey anything. Like, I just want to just live, because I felt like I haven't been living since I've been in this situation. And so it took a while for me to like really have that breakdown and be like, man, I need God. Like, that's what's missing. I don't have peace. You know, like I was doing I came out with my first book, you know, when I got single. I did all this stuff just trying to fill a void, and none of it took away the pain. You know, none of it took away anything that I felt like down the inside that I felt like was really missing. And you know, I just had a moment, like just that moment where it's just me and God, and I'm like, you're what's missing. You're what I need. Like, I'm really going to try harder to pursue after you, because this is the only thing that is filling me up. This is the only thing that's sustaining me. This is the only thing that's keeping me. And I had to realize that was God. Like, nothing could fill his place. Nothing could take his place. So I really had to come to the end of myself. I really had to get tired. And that's what brought me back to God more than anything else.
There was a scene in the short film where your character is in a car and she's crying because she finally realized that after all this time, I don't need to be living like this.
Yeah.
Have you ever had moments in your own personal life when you said, I can't keep living like this because I have to return back to what I know is love?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I think having that is what brought me to the end of that relationship. Because it wasn't just the relationship that I was like depressed about. You know, it was like everything in my life. And, you know, I just had that. It was just like a moment where I came to myself like, wait, Tiff, like, you're not married. You can literally get up and walk away, and there is nothing tying you and keeping you to this situation. Like, you could just leave. And I don't know, like, being in it, for some reason, I felt like, because I had been there so long, I felt like I couldn't leave for a while. And I don't know, like, I definitely have had that moment. It wasn't necessarily in a car, but I just sat there like, whoa, like, it was like a light bulb like went off, like, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And it took a while, like, you know, for Zara's case, you know, that was kind of like her first time coming to that realization. But, you know, from my own personal experience, like, you have that several times, multiple times, until you finally get to the end, and it's like, no, I'm done. I'm really done this time.
What advice would you give to those people that are in toxic relationships?
Oh man. The advice I would give is to really let somebody know what's going on. Like, honestly, like someone that you know and that you love and that you trust, let them know what's going on and be open to whatever it is that they can say back. For me, I really stayed silent a lot of it. So a lot of people didn't necessarily know what I was going through. They didn't really know what I was dealing with or what was going on. And so once like I let like my mom and I let my closest friends into that place, like, you know, then that's when I was able to be like, oh, this isn't good for me. You're right. Like, this is bad. And so my advice to someone that's currently in a toxic situation is to just let people in, let people that love you in, that care about you. And I think it will help them get the courage to finally leave.
How much fun was it to make the Toxic film, even though the message was kind of, you know,
It
we
was
all know what
heavy.
it's supposed to be about? Like, what
Yeah.
was it like to even make it?
It was so fun. We had that was such a fun day. Like, everybody on set just had really good energy. Like, I could barely focus and concentrate sometimes because everyone just be playing and just having fun. And I'm like, yo, I gotta be sad. Like, y'all are not helping. Y'all are not helping me. I gotta be super sad. But we were able to just knock everything out in one day in 12 hours. So that was just super cool. Like, it was fun. Bink was there. She's in the chat. But we had a really good day, and that was like my first time, you know, like, this is my project. So I was just really excited. Like, just, I'm like, well, yo, we're really doing this. Like, at the end of the day, my cinematographer looked at me. He was like, we just made a movie. Like, how do you feel? We made a movie. I'm like, I don't even know how to feel right now. Like, this was so cool. It was just fun. It was fun getting into character. It was fun, you know, feeding off of my lead actor. Like, it was just fun, you know, just really trying to push each other to get the best performance out of each other that we could. And yeah, we had a great time. It was fun. I can't wait. I'm shooting another project at the end of this month. Like, I cannot wait to get back on set again.
You had mentioned earlier that you had been wanting to do things like this since you were a kid. Who were some of the filmmakers that inspired you to pursue your dreams?
As a young kid, younger, definitely Tyler Perry initially, Devon Franklin, who else? Steven Spielberg, Quentin Tarantino. He's edgy, but yes, I did like him too. Tim Story, Will Packer, Issa Rae, like, all of those filmmakers and creators, I absolutely looked up to.
You looked up to so many people and they continue to inspire you. Is that what you want these people, when they're looking at this film, you want them to feel inspired as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely want them to feel inspired. I want them to hire me too when they look at the film. Like, hire me, hit me up. Like, that's what I want more than anything else. But definitely, I want other people too, like, you know, who want to do filmmaking, like, to really look at my story. Like, I had $800 to make this film. That was our budget. And what was so crazy is I barely had that. I barely had that
Yes.
to make the film. And God literally ended up sending me $800 like a week after I invested it. Like, literally a week. Like, that's when I knew that He wanted this to be created, because I literally, like, the money came out of nowhere. I didn't even know it was coming, and I had $800 in my account. I'm like, what is going on? So yeah, so I want people to really be inspired, that it doesn't matter what your resources are or whatever. Like, work with what you have, with whatever you have. Like, use what God has already given you, and go after the things that He has placed in your heart, because He will provide for it. Like, He will literally provide for it. And that's all the confirmation. That was all the confirmation I needed. Like, you gave me the money back. Like, okay, I know this is what you want, because
Yeah.
there's been things I've invested in that I will never see that money again, ever. So I was super grateful. And so if God has called you to it, He will make provision. That is like what I want to inspire people. Anybody that's watching me or paying attention to whatever I'm doing, He will make provision if it's really what He wants for your life.
I'm a living witness to it. And I could share briefly my testimony. And all I can
Please.
say is just go watch the shows I've done, and all of y'all will see God's hand in it. I'm going to just leave it at that. But
Yeah.
this isn't about me. This is about you. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up and ask the questions. Now that you have released this
Mm-hmm.
and you continue to push, you know, you continue to pursue, like, when it was first released, did you expect the response to become as overwhelming as it has been?
No, I'll be honest with you. I knew that it was powerful. I knew that it had potential to do that, but I didn't know when that was going to happen. I had no idea when, how, what, who, like, I didn't know when. Like, my goal when we first came out the first day, I had like a small views goal. I'm like, oh, we hit 500 views. Like, that's going to be really good for us. like, like wow, like I only had 200 subscribers at the time, you know. So I'm like,
Yes.
yo, if we can double at least the amount of subscribers that I know could potentially see it, that's going to be a successful day. We had that in a matter of hours. I was like, yo, what is going,
Yes.
like I was not, when I, even when the video first became available to the public, I hadn't even sent the link out and I already had 5 views on it. I'm like, I have barely even posted this. So no, I was not expecting that. And then for a week or almost 2 weeks, we sat in between 2,000 and 3,000 views. And we got our first 2,000 views in a weekend. So I'm like, oh, it's slowing down. I mean, God, this is this is in your hands.
Yeah.
And literally last Tuesday, you know, I had a conversation with the co-star. I'm like, yeah, we're almost at 3,000 views. Like, that's really good. We're doing something. He was like, okay, well, what's your goal? Like, what are you trying to get to? I'm like, 10,000 would be nice. And like, literally after I said that, it just started picking up steam. And now we're averaging like 2,000 views a day. So it's just, it's like, it's blowing my mind because I'm watching other, you know, short films, and you know, some of them are barely touching 2,000 views and they've been up for a year. So I
Yes.
just know that God is like really has his hand on this, and that he's continuing to breathe on it, and that when it explodes, it's going to explode, and it's going to be nothing I can take credit for. I can't even take credit for the last 10,000 views that we got in the past week because I did nothing. When I tell you, Chris, I
Yes.
didn't do anything special. I didn't hire anybody. I didn't call YouTube like, hey, can you show it? I have done absolutely nothing. It's just literally been by his grace. Like, literally just been, it's what he wants to happen. So it's going to happen. Like, now our next goal is 100K, and I'm sure that God will be able to do that too. Like, I'm not even worried.
I know that's right. Who was the company that the film was released through?
Okay, so it was released through my company in partnership with Meeks Media. So
Yes.
Meeks Media is the one that shot and edited the film.
So they're the ones that shot and edited, but this is still a Creatiff production. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that name? Because that is extremely nice.
Thank you. God gave it to me. Okay,
Love it.
last year I was trying to find a new Instagram username because I'm like I kept gearing everything to writing, and I'm like I'm not really, you know, like I'm not just a writer. Like I'm that's when I started pursuing acting and everything else. I'm like I'm not just that. Like I need to, you know, like I do more than that. I'm super creative. And then I just heard creative. And I'm like, oh, that's dope.
It
Hold
is.
up. And so then, you know, my VP, we were talking, I'm like, well, I really want to create a film company. Like, I don't know what to call it. She was like, call it Creatiff Productions. Like, you already have Creatiff. Like, just call it Creatiff Productions. And I was like, girl, that's why you my VP. This is why.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, God gave it to me. Everybody been always compliments that name. Like, yo, like that is super cute. I'm like, thanks. God gave it to me.
Early. So earlier you had mentioned something around the lines of, you know, what you're doing next. You said you have something that you're working on at the end of this month.
Yeah.
So what is that project going to be about?
Okay, so we are working on a web series. It's called the Untold Series. At least that's the name right now. You know, when things are in production, you don't know if you're gonna stick with that, but it's called the Untold Series. And it's basically what we're doing is we are taking scriptures from the Bible or even stories from the Bible, and we're blowing it up and bringing it into present day so that people can see how the word manifests itself in our everyday life. So it's not going to be like churchy or anything. It's really going to be like everyday scenarios that we're going to show how this scripture actually applies to this everyday life, just to get people more excited about reading the word and what's in there. Like, there's so much in it. Like, I think people sometimes when they think of the word, it's like, oh, this is so old, it was written,
Yeah.
like this doesn't apply to my life, like, or you know, like I don't, like every time you see things like that, it's in like a churchy type setting. And I think it just doesn't make it real for people. And so we want to make it real. And each episode will have a brand new cast, brand new storyline. Like, it's not going to be, in order or anything like that. Like, it's all going to have its own episode to center around a certain scripture to help people understand. And then we're going to have an after show that's tied to that episode that will go in depth about what the scripture means, how to study it, and how it applies to what they just watched. So people will have the option to go further if they want to know more. But each episode will start with the scripture, and then we'll get into the whole show. So it's gonna be dope. I'm super excited about that. Like, that's gonna be really cool.
You have a lot of support and you have a lot of people in your corner. Ultimately, what is your end goal? Like, where do you want all of this to lead you to? Maybe a contract position with some people like a Netflix or Hulu or like BET, just throwing random things out there.
Absolutely. I would love to have a show picked up, by Netflix or whoever, like definitely have a streaming service. Ultimately, my end goal is I want to create a studio for the Midwest, for people that are in Ohio, that are in Indiana, that are in Kentucky, so that they don't feel like they have to travel to LA, or they have to go to New York, or they have to go to Atlanta in order to pursue their dreams. But the company is definitely going to be faith-based or whatever, and we'll definitely have certain projects that will come out of there that we'll support. But that's my end goal, is to definitely have a studio in the Midwest, so that I always felt like that. I always felt like I had to move in order to pursue what God has called me to do in film and television. And a lot of Midwesterners, they go west, to really be able to do that. And I would love for them to have a place where they can feel like they can afford to live and afford to pursue their dreams. So in the end, I want to have my own studio space, and of course, like that be funded by projects that were picked up, by different television networks or streaming networks or whatever. Just pay us to do it, because all this come out of pocket in a prayer. So
don't I know it? If don't nobody else know it, I know how that feels.
Listen, like, I hope my team know, like, y'all not getting paid right now. Y'all get paid in a year when we take off, but we can only do so much, okay? Like, and I respect everybody that's on my team that's really helping and pushing and believes in the dream. But I really would love to just bring all that to life. Nehemiah, know he on my team. He know they're not getting paid, okay? They working like hard.
Y'all probably getting paid in sandwiches and love and hugs.
Love, support, words of affirmation. That's what they're getting paid in. Thank yous.
I love it. Well, this has definitely been fun. Before we get out of here, if anybody wanted to connect with you and learn more about you or watch the film, how can they do that?
Okay, so they could watch the film on YouTube. So Creatiff Productions on YouTube. That's Creatiff. The film is on there. It's doing numbers. It's called Toxic. Please go watch it. You can find me on Instagram, simply.creative. Twitter is Simply Creative. Our website is going to be live to the public in a few days, so we will announce that on our YouTube page, and that will probably be the best way to get in contact with us, is on the website. We have a contact form. We have a place for auditions and all that stuff. Is going to be creativproductions.com. So we will announce when the public can go and consume that very soon. But yeah, just find me, Tiffany Campbell. Okay, I got some books out there. You can find that on Amazon. Tiffany Campbell. The books are called "Don't Disconnect" and "Scared of Beautiful." Find me on there. Yeah.
Well, nothing else needs to be asked. Tiffany Campbell, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure that you guys like and share this. Definitely follow her. Get that YouTube video up to 100,000 views, people. She got goals, and we trying to help her reach it.
Share that. Thank you.
Make sure y'all share it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany Campbell on the Chris Gunther Show. Thank y'all for watching. God bless. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.